Hey folks, man, this is Monk, and we are back with another episode of Classic of Cinematics. And this is a show where we talk about the films that shaped and warped our childhoods. These are usually classic, older films. Did I say a word, or was that just sound?
Yeah. It was the remix.
But we're going to be talking about The Crow from 1994, and this is a crazy film right here. This is one that we definitely felt like we had to get to. Did I say I was joined as always with Bobby Blockbuster?
Nah, but you are. And yo.
Yeah, that's what's up, folks, man. Off to a rocky start, man, but we got this, man. Mm-hmm. So, The Crow is directed by Alex Proyas. I think that's how you say that. It stars Brandon Lee, Ernie Hudson, Rochelle Davis, Michael Wincott, Tony Todd, Bylene, David Patrick, Michael Massey, Lauren Masson, and Angel David. And I know that's a longer cast list than we usually bring to the table, but I feel like every one of these characters is significant in this film.
Definitely.
But the synopsis is this. The night before his wedding, musician Eric Draven and his fiancée are brutally murdered by members of a violent inner-city gang. On the anniversary of their death, Eric rises from the grave and assumes the gothic mantle of the Crow, a supernatural avenger. Tracking down the thugs responsible for the crimes and mercilessly murdering them, Eric eventually confronts head gangster Top Dollar, played by Michael Wincott, to complete his macabre revenge mission. And interesting fact about this film, this is probably an early example, not the first, but an early example of a comic book film that really works really well. And it's not the first comic book film. Of course, we got Superman and all that stuff, but this is based on a comic book by James O'Barr, who it's got a really eerie beginning because he created this story as a way to cope with the death of his fiancée when he was 18. She was killed by a drunk driver. And that's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking in my head, like at 18, you're already about to marry somebody, and then to just lose them so tragically.
Yeah, and you know, young love, that's heavy, man. Ooh, that weighs heavy on the heart when something happens to the young love.
Yeah, so he created this comic book as this, revenge-seeking character, and eventually it will become this film, man. And I think it won a lot of comic book awards when it came out as well. Just for the writing and the story itself, and the character that it brought to the world. But this thing turned out to be a really great film, man. And and like I said, not only it showed example of comic book film, but I think it stands as an example for people to get outside of these superhero leanings when it comes to movies like this. There's a lot of stories like this that are out there. You know what I'm saying? Like characters that aren't necessarily superheroes, or it's not dealing with superhero themes, and so
or just shave off that general perception of what we are predisposed to think what a hero should be, or what they should look like, or how they should act, or how they should come to be a hero in the first place.
Yeah,
and
what I mean? Also I think what to expect from the type of story that can come from a comic book.
Yes,
like we're used to superhero stuff, but comic books can tackle comedy, drama, historical stories, all kinds of stuff, man. All types of possibilities. But what stands out in this film, man?
I mean, honestly, just to your point, man, I love the concept. I love the originality of the story, and definitely how it translates on the screen. I mean, there's so much emotion throughout this film. Every scene is jam-packed with emotion, and I love the fact that the underlying, thing that is pushing this film through is the power of love. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's why he came back. Yeah, that's why he got all, that's why he's on this path to vengeance in the first place, is because of the love he had for his fiancée, what happened to her, and how those that inflicted this pain need to pay for what they did.
And I think on top of that story, the setting alone, which is, this is supposed to be Detroit, man, and it's a real gritty, almost grunge rock period Detroit, what you would imagine, and it has a lot of atmosphere to it, man. It's spooky, old, gothic architecture, and it's interesting. I was watching a making of special about this, and the original comic book was black and white, so it's interestingly enough, they tried to maintain that aesthetic through the exterior shots of the film. It's really bleak, washed out, all the colors pulled out, but when we go to the flashback scenes, those are really bright and vividly lit, you know, a lot of reds and oranges, and it just adds to the look of it, because the city looks dirty, it looks filthy, it looks like a dangerous place, it looks like a place that's hard to live in. You know,
and you know what, another thing that I like is, even though that they make sure that there is an established police presence, it feels lawless. I mean, the villains are running rampant. You know what I mean?
This could double for Gotham, yo. This is the place where no one's going to hear you scream at night. And, and you better hope someone out there is like the Batman.
I was about to say, this is the kind of place that needs a hero, needs a vigilante. You know what I mean?
It feels like it's got its foot on someone's got a foot on its neck. You know, like I said, it looks like a struggle place for people to live here. They have. I guess the look of it adds story to them. They only got to talk and tell you their story, but just like, man, my man's life is hard. Like even the pawn shop owner, you just know that he's like he is because the city has made him like that. He's an asshole, scummy guy, but he's doing a hard business in a hard city.
I mean, and I mean the fact that he has dealings with, you know, the criminal element. I mean, that those are the ones who are, you know, providing him with the proper paperwork to keep his business up and running. I mean, doesn't make it right, but it just kind of gives that little bit of level of a understanding as to how people can easily turn left instead of right, you know, especially with all these bad elements going on. And another thing to add to, you know, the darkness that it seems like the sun's never shining.
It's
always raining.
It's raining. It's always dark. I don't think there's one daytime shot in this whole movie, dude. Like, I can't imagine. Maybe one, but even then, it's not even outside. It's like there's one scene where it's kind of in the morning, and the little girl Sarah, who was friends with Eric and his fiance before they got killed, and she runs into Eric after he's come back, and the sun's coming through the window. She don't think he's there, and then finally he jumps out and the light lights him up from behind. But that's it. That's the only shining sunlight we get in this movie. Like,
but I think they also did that to kind of to emphasize the bright spots, just like to your point with the flashbacks. They were bright and vibrant because I think those were also supposed to give us the visual of happiness, minus when they're giving us the flashback of what happened.
And I think that helped with the cost of this, because this is a very low budget film. You know, but it's just so bleak and hopeless around here, man. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, dude.
But like I said, I mean, there's so much emotion running through this film. Like, I don't know anyone who can watch this film and not have a pulse. You know what I mean? Like, if this doesn't tug on the heartstrings in some way, shape, or form, then man,
even though it is fantastical in a way, and this crazy story, like. The people feel real. They feel well formed. You know, even though we don't know everything about them. Another thing that stands out, like this cast, man, the acting. Brandon Lee is great as the character Eric, but I think what elevates this are, you know, Ernie Hudson, man, killed this thing, man. Like as the officer that was on the scene when they died, and he's out there now. Just being out there, man. He ends up running into Sarah, and they both bump into Eric after he returns from the grave on his revenge mission. But he's a great anchor to those events of the past, and as well as kind of guiding Eric along a little bit, or just keeping tabs on him and telling him what's been happening since he's been gone. He's great in that role.
Their friendship, their bond that they form, it almost starts to translate like Batman in Gordon. In a way, like
that's a good way to put it.
It's kind of a little more, you know, watered down and a little more grimy, but that's how I feel. And to your point with this cast, I mean, dude, this is an all-star goon squad, okay? I mean, with Michael Wincott playing the boss, and you got Tony Todd as the brains of the operation, and then the top goon is David Patrick. I don't think I've ever seen David Patrick play a role where he's not a villain, whether it be at the Warriors or in Commando or even Dreamscape. He was the Snake Man. Like, I mean,
he's got that face that's very recognizable.
And then to sprinkle the sprinkles on the icing on the cake, you get Bei Ling, who is pretty much playing the role of the girlfriend / sister of Michael Wincott's character, and all she likes to do
is so weird too.
And all she likes to do is lay around and eat people's eyeballs.
It's weird. I mean, her role is definitely undercooked. She's the boss's mistress, but I guess at the time too, her look and just the way she played this role just made her stand out. Like you said, she's weird. She's there to be weird in the background.
And
you know
with
what I'm
her
saying?
like subdued role and not talking that much, she kind of feels like the most dangerous one in the room when she's in it. You know what I mean? Like, ain't no telling what she might do.
Yeah, she feels like a spiritual advisor to this guy, but also it's sick, man.
And I mean, she roasting eyeballs like they're marshmallows, man. You gonna make eyeball s'mores?
Yeah, but also Tony Todd's presence, just the head goon number one. You know what I'm saying? So it's a Wincott's character, and I think it wasn't. I can't remember the dude's name. Was it Angel David? The one dude he plays Shank. I think it's Shank.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, the one that don't talk right.
So yeah, it's funny, but that's I was about to say that they are lovable bad guys. Like not that you love what they're doing, but they're fun to watch in this movie. Yeah. Like they feel like a real scummy, criminally cruel. Like this is one of them things, man. We just did Demon Knight, and I feel like that film was elevated by the casting and the way these characters were played. And I think this film has that same effect. Like these are A1 grade A character actors that are playing these insignificant roles, but bringing a lot of meat to them, to the point where you know every one of this crew and you know them. And as you remember, as each one of them gets taken out as well, too, man. It's crazy.
And the way that they pull us in, as viewers with our emotional compass, it's like, it's like you said, they're lovable characters for what they bring, watching it as knowing it's a movie, but it's very easy to not like them. You know what I'm saying? The things that they're doing is like, ooh, I can't wait till he gets you. I want to see what he's going to do.
And you love not liking him, like my man Lawrence Mason as Tintin. Like there's just a lot of charisma coming up off of these guys, man. Like who's my man in the car right here?
That's David Patrick. That's
T-Bird. Yeah, T-Bird even has he's probably the most calmest of them, even though he's running with these goons.
But he's
he's always in the car. Though. He's chilling.
Yeah,
he's chill. He's ready to like. They all have personality, man.
And you see, like when they're sitting around at the table, he's kind of like the front runner of the five of them. Like, they don't buck back with him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but like I said, he's the most even one. He's like the level headed. Like I'm running this shit. Like I'll rock with y'all, but
But then again, that's how you know
so much of y'all.
That's how you know how dangerous he really is. Because when you can do the things that they're doing and be ice cold, have a clear conscience, take someone out and then go eat a bowl of cereal, that's pretty heavy, man.
And this thing, I think it was mostly shot in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is interesting because they added the aesthetics of it, man. Like I said, this looks like a really deep inner city, and they using a lot of dope camera photography. But one of the greatest things too that they did that was smart was, in order to stretch this budget, they built miniatures of the city, like those external shots in the intro when welcome to Demon Night and it's flying over the city and things are on fire. Like those are miniature sets. And it was just a little bit expensive up front, but it saved them so much money later on the production tip. Like even the fires and that stuff burning on, those are done on miniature sets, man. There's even some of these car chases in the car chase sequence that are miniatures, man. They're not full size vehicles or anything, dude. They're miniature cars just whipping around, combined with real live footage.
And that's just a testament, like you said, to the filmography, because the imagery is another thing that stands out. There are so many monumental visuals going on. I mean, like whether it's, when you first see the Crow and he's like swinging around out the window and stuff. Anytime when he's running across the top of the buildings in the rain, I mean, that just looks so cool. I mean, I wonder how fast he's going.
I'll tell you something about that.
Like cheetah mode
too, because that was also a thing that was done with the set, because basically they had one rooftop sequence, because it wasn't like they shot him running from here all the way through. Nah, they had one roof section, and what they kept doing was reshuffling the pieces on the set to make it look like he was running through different roofs or different sections of roofs, and they was just filming and then they chop it together, and so it looks like he's continuously moving, but they had to reset every time he made a pass, and that's crazy.
And another cool thing, just it's a testament to the awesome actor and athlete that Brandon Lee was, because I mean, I don't think there was no stunt doubles. Like he was the one out there running around, swinging around, doing all that stuff. I mean, he got even though he lost a lot of weight, he was jacked in this, man.
Yeah, there was a lot of stunt people though with him. I mean, he did do everything that he could, but it's just like I mean, Jackie Chan does do a lot of his stunts, man. But there have been times in the past where Jackie Chan passed that on to someone else, man. So, but But yeah, you're right, man. And one of the things too, there was a lot of problems on the set. Not super crazy, but there were accidents. People got hurt and people fell and things like that. As well as the infamous
the
accident that involved Brandon Lee losing his life filming this movie. I think they had about. They said when he passed away, they had maybe 3 more scenes left to shoot, and basically he was shooting a scene with Michael Massey from Boy. I think it might have been the scene in the hotel with
with Sarah's mom.
Yeah, with Sarah's mom in that scene, and I think from what I saw looking into like they ended up coming out, it was like even though that gun that he fired toward Brandon Lee had blanks, like a piece of one of the casings got jammed into the gun and was actually expelled, and that's what ended up hitting him. And what people, there's a rumor like, oh, he got hit by a real bullet. That didn't happen, but it did malfunction, and he was shot. And I think they said he died 6 hours later after they tried to save him with surgery. But it's also a crazy thing because the actor Michael Massey, he says, he's done a lot of movies since then, but he says that haunted him for a long time because essentially he pulled the trigger that
justifiably
that killed the actor, and he said he used to have nightmares from it, and it's just crazy, bro. Like I can't even imagine that, man. But that led to the problem. One of the things I found out while looking into this, Paramount was the company that signed on as distributor of this film, and they pulled out after Brandon Lee's death. So then Marimax stepped in, and not only did they absorb the sign on as the distributor, but they also put up an additional $8 million to finish the film, and most of that went toward reshoots and digital effects that simulated Brandon Lee's likeness. It ended up accounting for 1/3 of the movie's entire budget and involved cutting-edge technology, the first of its kind to ever be used in a movie for a production that had been largely modest and lo-fi up to that point. And this is meaning that there was a few scenes in this movie where they digitally put Brandon Lee's face into the film. Maybe had another actor filming it, and then one scene that's really obvious, even though it adds a weird effect that I think works, is when he's coming out of the grave and walking through the alleyway, and he's like no shirt on, and it's kind of raining, and this like the camera does this weird jitter. Like it's wild, dude. But they pulled it off, man.
They did, and it's cool. Also, since they were put in this situation, it's terrible. Why they had to do this, but fortunately for them, at least the Crow had face paint on, so it's I would think that it might be a little easier to digitally enhance or recreate a character when you don't have to actually make them look like a real person all the way with all the facial details and structures and everything like that.
But as I said, this is kind of a first of its kind,
definitely.
For doing something like this. And it was 8, so let's just say that doing all that inflated the box office to about 22 million or 25 million, somewhere around there. It grossed domestically 50 million, so that's not bad. That was a good gamble, and plus the video sales at that time, because we were all VCR heavy. I think that's how I initially saw it, on a VHS tape.
I actually saw this in the theater, man. I was in 5th grade with 2 of my homies, man, and my one homie convinced his mom to buy us tickets. And we were in there, dude. And I just remember just sitting in the theater, just how in awe I was by just everything that was going on. And just, like I said, the visuals. But another thing that stands out is the music in this movie. From beginning to end. It's so grungy and gritty. It runs parallel with everything that we're seeing, with the music that they're playing. I love this soundtrack, man.
It's a really nice. It has some covers on it. Has some original songs as well, but it features The Cure, Stone Temple Pilots, 9 Inch Nails, Rage Against the Machine, The Violent Femmes, the Rollins Band, Pantera, and just more people. Dude, it's 14 tracks on this thing. It did triple platinum in the U.S., maybe more worldwide, but.
Yeah, and just off of those bands that you named, like I said, this just runs parallel with this grungy gothic, hero that has been created in this world that's given to us, man. I couldn't see it done any better, you know what I'm saying? Unless the only thing that would change is if this movie were to come out tomorrow, they might have, a different, ensemble of bands playing the songs. But, you know what I'm saying? That rock element, that grunginess, that would still have to be in the forefront with the sounds. Otherwise, the film just wouldn't work.
Yeah. It adds just to the atmosphere and the tone and just the spirit, because essentially as well, the criminal element in here, they are kind of like slumlords, or they do the work for slumlords. So annually, Hell Night, the night before Halloween, they would just go out and burn buildings, man. A lot of times for the insurance money. It reminds me of the real life situation in the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? In late '60s, '70s. You know what I'm saying? Through that era where the same kind of thing was going on, man. They couldn't, the neighborhood was so bad, the crime was so high, they really couldn't get people to develop there. So they a lot of people would just burn their buildings out and collect the insurance and move on, or sell that to the highest bidder.
But then they were also just scumbag enough to, if they did cross paths with someone who might have had some complaints or something, they're going to make them their next victims. They're not just going to burn their house down when they're not in it.
That's an interesting angle, because I think Eric Draven's what's the wife, Shelly,
yeah,
so she's also, her job is pretty much to advocate for housing and stuff like that. So I think they were targeted as well, because she was also working with the system. But I think also it was a thing where they were the people in the building, they weren't trying to get down and lay down, or maybe they were the last ones in there, and they still had to burn this building out.
Yeah.
And they forced them out. It was like, and not only that, man, this was a really just a terrible crime done to them, man.
Yeah.
She's raped in front of him pretty much, and then they're both just killed.
He's
and
tossed
murdered
out the window, so it's like he's near death. He has to watch her, have all these bad things happen, and she has to watch him, fall to his demise. I mean, and that's the thing when you think back to the first thing that you said, that this is based off of the comic book. We really don't get crimes like this, elements like this in comic books that often. You know what I'm saying? I mean, now, yes, comic books have changed. We get a lot of horror comics and things like that. But when this initially came out, we weren't, this is kind of like something really original, really new. And that's why this film had no problem creating its own lane and doing it very well.
Yeah. One of the things also that I found out just doing my research on it, like that, he wrote the comic book because of what happened to his fiancée at the time, but also there's an element to this film that is based on a real story, and it's the thing with the rings, because and I think Obar heard a story or had seen this thing on the news where a couple was murdered for their engagement rings, and brutally killed. So elements of that ended up in this film. Of course, the storyline where he's tracking the ring down through Gideon's Pond and all that. So that was kind of inspired by that real life story. I will say another thing that stands out is the action, man. Is really well done. I mean, he is Brandon Lee, and we know he has the martial arts background, being Bruce Lee's son, and having done films like I think he did Rapid Fire. What was the other film he did with Dolph Lundgren too? I think that one was a pretty big hit for the time.
I'm drawing a blank. I know Rapid Fire. That was a dope movie.
Yeah, but the thing that sucks about it is like he did his Showdown in Little Tokyo. That was it. He had done his action film run, and it was doing pretty good for him, and he was on his way there. And then what was interesting about it is like this was the one that was supposed to take him to the next level. It's like, all right, I did my little slum B grade straight to VHS stuff, but now this is a major motion picture, and I'm supposed to go from there. And I think he really could have been one of the greats in this action role era. It almost feels like Keanu Reeves just picked up where his trajectory was going, and and like I could see him being in the Matrix instead of or other types of things.
Because this was the film that actually like kind of helped him really get out of Bruce Lee's shadow. Stepping away. I mean, technically this is still an action film per se, but it also has the thriller element, the horror element. I mean, there's the crime element. I mean, there's so much else going on, and his acting was at the forefront. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he spent more time giving us this character than he did throwing hands. You know what I mean? Like there was, like I said, the emotional compass that he brought was just amazing. You know what I mean? And another thing I really liked was when he did start taking everybody out, like the way, like, he was so methodical and meticulous with how he just took them out one by one, just dishing out this pain and this punishment, deservedly so.
I also like how they didn't make him too Diesel. Like it wasn't like he was coming in and breaking fools off like Bruce Lee. A lot of the fights were really brawly and scrappy, kind of where this guy, the only really advantage he has is he can't really be wounded mortally or die, and the rest is just. Maybe there's a little bit like when he's fighting Tintin and Tintin's throwing a blade. The first time, then he whacks the blade that he throws, and the second time he actually focuses a little and he catches it, throws it back, but it's still not this super dominant off top kind of.
He's not like throwing him across the alley with one hand.
Yeah, there's a little bit of struggle with the fights, which I like. Like he takes punches and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like especially when we get to the final fight and the final action sequence, I think is really dope.
Oh, it's great.
Which is a really dope scene because like I always love these scenes when they're done right. That's my other knock on The Dark Knight, man. I don't think the enemy group scene was done as well. I mean, it was cool that the Joker smacked the dude eye on the pencil, but before that thing was struggling, bro.
Yeah.
But this one is the opposite of that because you got all of Detroit Grimies, all these guys that are doing this burning scheme, and they're all sitting there, and it's just a dope scene. He gives his coach Bobby Knight the criminal speech and then my man Brandon comes out and it's just chaos, man.
Flurry of bullets.
They tear that room up, dude.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. Like it's not just hand-to-hand combat. I mean, you're getting all kind of weapon usage, but man, that gunfight at the end, dude. I mean, they're pulling out guns that I ain't seen before. He's sliding across the table, under the table. You know what I'm saying?
He's gunning them down.
Stealth,
they gunning each other down in the mess of it, and he's taking Bama's out with the close quarter slashes. And
the thing is too is because of his look, because of that face paint. I mean, the costume art
look like Sting
cool.
fucking him up, like fucking people up.
Yeah, man.
Was Sting rocking his face like this back then?
No, Sting got after that from Crow.
Yo, that's crazy.
Yeah, when he started dropping out the ceiling and everything. But I mean, just imagine like how creepy that would be. Like if it happened, you're in a dark alley, so you're some kind of goon, and this dude just comes out of the mist, and then he looks the way he walks with his arms out, kind of like how Freddy Krueger was walking in Nightmare on Elm Street when he was scratching the walls and stuff.
Yeah, man.
I mean, they paid a lot of attention to detail and how he really would instill fear, and it translated well, man.
Yeah, man. It was dope, man. He basically pulls a Batman on these fools, and then I mean, it eventually gets to a conclusion because there's also the dope scene. He goes one-on-one with the main guy, and it's just like it's just really well done, dude. Yeah. It's just really well done. Even that showdown, they're sword fighting
on the rooftop in the rain
with crows and stuff flying around.
Yeah, man. Right.
And, there's another interesting fact that I found out. Just looking at the making of. They didn't use crows in this film for those scenes where they had to do close contact work. Those were actually ravens.
Oh, okay.
Because apparently crows, for some reason, are notoriously hard to handle, and even if you can get them to tolerate humans, their default usually is to be aggressive towards humans. But on the other hand, ravens are trainable. You can get them to do tricks and play. So most of the times you see a movie like this with a real live bird that's supposed to be a crow, it's probably a raven.
No, okay.
Yeah,
leave it up to Corey, aka National Geographic.
I'm gonna put the link to the article I read. That's not even good for my first-hand knowledge, man. Let me see what else. Anything? Yeah. That's all I got for the facts, man. But yeah, I mean, other than that, dude, it just comes together in such a great way, man. This is one of the ones I heard about they were making, and I hadn't read the Crow story, but it was also a story that I read about.
Right.
When I read, I think back in the day, you read the style section of the Sunday paper, and they would talk about certain books. Maybe every now and then there'll be an article on something like the Dark Knight comic. But then I definitely remember reading about this several times in the media at the time about how good it was, and it won a lot of awards. When it came out, comic book awards as well as real other prestigious literary awards. I mean, he had the thing about Old Bar, man, he was also a weird figure too. Like, he was really reclusive, and he did eat off the success of that book, but at the same time, he wasn't one that, or at least he put up this front like he didn't want to revel in it. There was even a story that he felt guilty about making money from this picture after Brandon Lee died. The movie did so good, he apparently he took some of his royalty checks and gave most of that money away. You know what I'm saying? The charities.
That's solid, and I can see how it could weigh heavy on him. I mean, just think
get
about it. He
it,
wrote
but,
the book to
keeping
find
that
closure with what happened to his wife, and then the success that comes from that, and then this film, all this ultimate success, but yet another great life is lost. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm keeping that money, bro. I'm like, this is not gonna be me. I'm like, yeah, that was sad. That was my boy, but hey, the whole time we signed up was to get this paper, man. we was already gonna do it.
I won't keep it all. I shaved something, I shaved something.
But it's crazy. It did spawn some sequels that I don't know. For the most part, they really weren't worth mentioning to me.
No.
There have been talks about them visiting this thing recently,
Like as a reboot.
Probably just a new take on it, And then, but
I would
then
rock with that. But yeah, no more sequels.
But then, another story that I saw was that at the time, James O'Barr was actually not James O'Barr, but what's his name? The director on this thing, Alex Proyas, was actually open to doing a sequel before Brandon Lee died.
Okay.
But after that, he just couldn't imagine himself doing it with anyone but him.
Yeah.
But,
and another cool thing about this, I was just watching this. I mean, I watched this film a lot, at least once a year, have for multiple years, but it still holds up. Like this film right here, just like Blade, could go pound for pound with the Marvel universe, all the awesome that it brings. I mean, it's different, conceptually, and it's not, I'm not comparing the two, but as a comic book film, this one is well worth its weight in gold. You know what I'm saying? And it still holds up today. To be almost 30 years old almost.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's what's up, bro. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's not really much more I can say about this, man, other than to go see it, dude. It's a really great film. Definitely one of the best things that come out of the 90s. One of the best comic book related, films ever. And just one of the just greats, man. It's just really holds up. It still looks good, man. Considering how old this thing is, the cinematography, the performances, like everything's just done great on it, man. And it's dope.
Yes, like I said, to your point, this is a standout film, a must-watch, must-own film. Anyone who's been under a rock for 30 years or just younger in age, don't know nothing about it, watch it. This is a must-see film. You know what I'm saying? And you'll get multiple watches out of it too. Yeah,
definitely, man. But I think that's it, folks, man. We're gonna wrap this thing up, man. It's been Monk. You catch me at Monkey Blood on Instagram and at Monkey Blood on Twitter. Follow us as Classics of Cinematics on Instagram. That's where we kind of give you hints of what we're going to put out next, and some cool screenshots and stuff like that. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and this Bobby Blockbuster. You can catch me at Bobby Blockbuster 118 on Instagram. And like I said, man, we implore you watch this film.
Yeah, folks, that's what's up, man. Subscribe.